First contact fiasco. The gleaming spires of New Terra Colony rose against the amber sky, a testament to humanity's resilience and ingenuity. Captain Zara Chen stood at the viewport of the orbital station, her dark eyes scanning the bustling spaceport below. Today marked a historic moment, the first official visit from the enigmatic Lycerian species. Nervous, Captain, Commander Jackson's gruff voice broke through her reverie. Zara turned, offering a wry smile. Excited, more like. We've been preparing for this moment for months. Jackson nodded, his weathered face creasing with a mixture of anticipation and concern. Just remember, one wrong move, and we could have an interstellar incident on our hands. Always the optimist, aren't you? Zara quipped, but she understood the gravity of the situation. The Lycerians were known for their advanced technology and aloof nature. This visit could pave the way for unprecedented cooperation, or spark a conflict that would echo across the galaxy. As they made their way to the docking bay, Zara's mind raced through the briefing materials. The Lycerians were a humanoid species with iridescent skin and large, luminous eyes. They communicated through a combination of verbal language and subtle color changes in their skin. Their society valued harmony and intellectual pursuits, but they were also fiercely protective of their culture. The docking bay doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing the sleek, otherworldly design of the Lycerian shuttle. Zara straightened her uniform, took a deep breath, and stepped forward as the ship's airlock cycled open. The first figure to emerge was tall and lithe, with skin that shimmered like mother of pearl. Large, almond-shaped eyes regarded the welcoming committee with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "Welcome to New Terra," Zara said, bowing slightly. "I'm Captain Zara Chen, and on behalf of the United Earth Coalition, we're honored to host you." The Lycerian ambassador, introduced as Ilara, inclined her head. "We appreciate your hospitality, Captain Chen. I am Ilara, first emissary of the Lycerian Conclave. We look forward to fostering understanding between our peoples." As the formal introductions continued, Zara couldn't help but notice the way Ilara's gaze kept darting around the docking bay, taking in every detail. There was something almost childlike in her curiosity, despite her regal bearing. The tour of the station proceeded smoothly, with Zara pointing out key areas and explaining the basics of human society. The Lycerian delegation seemed particularly intrigued by the hydroponic gardens, their skin flickering with patterns of green and gold as they examined the earth plants. It was in the station's central atrium that things took an unexpected turn. A small gathering had been arranged, with various human foods and drinks on display. Zara watched as Ilara approached a table laden with an assortment of cookies and candies. "These are sustenance?" Ilara asked, her voice lilting with curiosity. Zara smiled. "Not exactly. We call them treats, food items consumed for pleasure rather than nutrition." Ilara's skin rippled with a pattern Zara couldn't interpret. Fascinating. In our culture, all consumption serves a purpose. The idea of eating purely for enjoyment is novel. Before Zara could respond, Ilara had picked up a brightly wrapped candy. In a movement too quick to stop, she popped it into her mouth. The effect was instantaneous and alarming. Ilara's eyes widened, her skin exploding into a riot of colors. She let out a sound that was part gasp, part musical note. "Ambassador Ilara," Zara exclaimed, reaching out instinctively. "Are you all right?" The other Lycerians rushed to their leader's side, their own skin flickering with concern. Ilara swayed on her feet, her gaze unfocused. I feel..." Ilara's voice trailed off, replaced by a series of melodic tones. Her skin continued to pulse with vibrant hues, creating patterns that seemed to dance in the air around her. Commander Jackson appeared at Zara's side, his face grim. "What the hell just happened, Captain?" Zara's mind raced. "I don't know." She ate one of the candies. Could it be some kind of allergic reaction? As if in response to her words, Ilara began to levitate, rising several inches off the ground. The other humans in the atrium gasped, some backing away in fear. The Lycerian delegation formed a protective circle around their ambassador, their own skin now pulsing in sync with Ilara's. "We need to get her to the medical bay," Zara said, trying to keep her voice calm. "Ambassador, can you understand me? We want to help." Ilara's gaze focused on Zara, and for a moment, the captain felt as if she was looking into the depths of the universe itself. "Help." Ilara's voice was distant, dreamlike. "But I can see everything." The situation was spiraling out of control. What had started as a historic diplomatic meeting was quickly turning into a potential disaster. Zara knew that every second counted, not just for Ilara's well-being, but for the future of human-Lycerian relations. "Jackson, clear the area. I want only essential personnel here," Zara ordered. "And get Dr. Patel up here now. We need to figure out what's happening and how to reverse it." As Jackson moved to carry out her orders, Zara turned back to the Lycerian delegation. Their skin was a swirling mass of colors, and she could sense their growing agitation. "Please," he said, holding up her hands in a gesture of peace. "Let us help. We have advanced medical facilities, and I promise you, we'll do everything in our power to ensure Ambassador Ilara's safety." The Lycerians conferred among themselves, their melodic language filling the air. Finally, one of them stepped forward. "We will allow your medical intervention, but we insist on being present. If any harm comes to the first emissary, it will be considered an act of war." Zara nodded sullenly. "Understood. You have my word that we will treat this situation with the utmost care and respect." As they made their way to the medical bay, Ilara floating serenely between her concerned companions, Zara's mind raced with the potential consequences of this incident. One simple piece of candy had the potential to shatter years of careful diplomacy and plunge their civilizations into conflict. Dr. Patel, a brilliant xenobiologist with a calm demeanor, was waiting for them in the medical bay. Her eyes widened slightly at the sight of the levitating, color-shifting Lycerian ambassador, but she quickly composed herself. "What are we dealing with, Captain?" she asked as Ilara was gently guided onto a diagnostic bed. Zara quickly explained the situation, watching as Dr. Patel's expression grew more concerned with each detail. "I need to run a full spectral analysis," the doctor said, "and I'll need a sample of the candy she ingested." As the medical team sprang into action, Zara found herself face to face with the Lycerian who had spoken earlier. His skin was a deep, pulsing blue, a color she instinctively interpreted as worry. "I am fellow second emissary," he said, his voice tight with restrained emotion. "You must understand, Captain Chen, that what has happened here is more than a simple medical emergency. In our culture, the altering of consciousness is a sacred act reserved for the most profound spiritual rituals. To have it occur accidentally, in a foreign environment, the implications are severe." Zara felt the weight of his words settle on her shoulders. "I understand, Emissary Thallo. Please believe me when I say that this was never our intention. We will do everything in our power to rectify the situation and make amends." Thallo's skin flickered with a pattern Zara couldn't interpret. "Your intentions may have been pure, Captain, but the outcome remains the same. The first emissary is compromised. And there will be those among our people who will see this as a deliberate act, a human ploy to undermine our leadership." Before Zara could respond, Dr. Patel approached, her face grave. "Captain, I've completed my initial analysis. The compound in the candy is interacting with the Lycerian biochemistry in a way we've never seen before. It's not just affecting her physically, it seems to be altering her neural patterns, enhancing certain cognitive functions while suppressing others." Zara's heart sank. "Can you reverse it?" Dr. Patel hesitated. "I believe so, but it will take time to synthesize an antidote. And there's something else." "What is it?" Zara asked, bracing herself for more bad news. "The changes in Ambassador Ilara's neural patterns, they're not entirely negative. From what I can tell, she's experiencing a state of heightened awareness, increased cognitive function, and, well, there's no other way to put it. She's accessing parts of her brain that were previously dormant. Furlough, who had been listening intently, suddenly stiffened. His skin erupted in a pattern of swirling gold and silver. "The Enlightenment," he whispered, his voice filled with awe and fear. "It cannot be." Zara looked between the awestruck Lycerian and the confused doctor. "What's the Enlightenment?" Fallow's gaze was distant, his voice taking on a reverent tone. "In our most ancient texts, there are stories of a time when our ancestors could touch the very fabric of the universe, when their minds were open to all the secrets of creation. We have long sought to reclaim that state, but it has been lost to us for millennia." His eyes focused on Zara, suddenly sharp. "And now, through some quirk of human chemistry, you may have unlocked it." The implications of his words hit Zara like a physical blow. What had started as a diplomatic mishap was rapidly evolving into something far more profound and potentially far more dangerous. In that moment, as alarms blared and the medical team scrambled around the still-floating form of Ambassador Elara, Captain Zara Chen realized that the fate of two civilizations might very well rest on what happened in the next few hours. The first contact between humans and Lycerians had gone wildly off script, and now they were all venturing into uncharted territory, a place where ancient myths and modern science collided, with consequences that could reshape the galaxy itself. As the gravity of the situation settled over the medical bay, Zara knew that every decision she made from this point forward would be crucial. The path to understanding between their species had taken an unexpected and perilous turn, and it was up to her to navigate these treacherous waters. With a deep breath, she squared her shoulders and turned to face the challenges ahead. The real work of diplomacy, and possibly the key to unlocking the mysteries of the universe, was just beginning. Cosmic confections and celestial secrets. The medical bay of New Terra Station hummed with nervous energy as Captain Zara Chen paced, her mind racing faster than a quantum computer. The unconscious form of Ambassador Elara floated serenely above the diagnostic bed, her iridescent skin pulsing with colors that defied the known spectrum. "Quantum cookie conundrum," Zara muttered, coining a phrase that would soon spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Dr. Pertel looked up from her holographic displays, eyebrow raised. "I beg your pardon, Captain." Zara gestured towards the floating ambassador. This whole situation, a simple human treat triggering some kind of cosmic awakening in an alien diplomat, it's absurd, dangerous, and potentially revolutionary all at once. Thalo, the Lycerian's second emissary, chittered softly, their species equivalent of a wry chuckle. "Aptly put, Captain, though I suspect quantum cookie conundrum might trivialize the gravity of our predicament." "On the contrary," Zara replied, a spark of inspiration in her eyes. "It might just be the key to diffusing tensions and sparking genuine curiosity among both our peoples." Before Thalo could respond, a commotion at the medical bay entrance drew their attention. Commander Jackson burst in, his usually stoic face flushed with excitement. "Captain, you need to see this," he said, activating a holoprojector on his wrist. A three-dimensional newsfeed sprang to life, showing scenes from across New Terra Colony and beyond. Crowds had gathered in the streets, humans and the few alien species present on the planet mingling in a state of confused excitement. The headlines scrolling beneath the images read, "Cosmic Confection Craze. Human Candy Awakens Alien Abilities." Zara groaned. "How did this get out so fast?" Jackson shrugged. "Someone in the atrium must have leaked footage. It's gone viral across the entire United Earth Coalition network. And," he hesitated, "it's already reached Lycerian space." Fellow's skin flashed a deep, alarming red. "This is catastrophic. Our people will see this as a deliberate attack, an attempt to subvert our culture and leadership." "Or," Zara interjected, her mind working overtime, "we can control the narrative. Turn this from a potential diplomatic disaster into a moment of unprecedented cooperation and discovery." Dr. Pertel cleared her throat. "Captain, there's something else you should see." She manipulated her holocontrols, bringing up a complex molecular structure. I've isolated the compound in the candy that's interacting with the Lycerian biochemistry. It's not just sugar or artificial flavoring. There's something else. The molecular structure rotated slowly, its complexity defying easy explanation. Zara squinted at it, trying to make sense of the twisting strands and unusual atomic configurations. What exactly are we looking at, Doctor? Dr. Patel's voice was filled with barely contained excitement. I'm not entirely sure, but preliminary analysis suggests it's not of terrestrial origin. This compound, it doesn't match anything in our databases. It's almost as if it's not from our universe at all. Thalo finished, his skin now shimmering with a mix of fear and awe. A heavy silence fell over the medical bay as the implications sank in. Zora's mind reeled. A non-terrestrial compound in human candy. The possibilities and potential dangers was staggering. Okay, Zara said, taking a deep breath. Let's approach this methodically. Doctor, continue your analysis of the compound and its effects on Ambassador Ilara. Commander Jackson, I need you to coordinate with New Terra Security. Set up a perimeter around the station and prepare for any unusual events. Unusual how? Jackson asked, his brow furrowed. Zara gestured helplessly. Honestly, I have no idea, but given what we're dealing with, I'd rather be overprepared than caught off guard. Turning to Thalo, Zara's voice softened. Emissary, I know this situation is far from ideal, but I believe we have an opportunity here. A chance for our species to work together in the face of a mystery that could reshape our understanding of the universe. Thalo's skin rippled with conflicting colors before settling into a cautious blue-green. Your words are compelling, Captain Chen, but you must understand the risk. If we pursue this quantum cookie conundrum, we may be opening a door that cannot be closed. Sometimes, Zara replied with a small smile, those are the doors most worth opening. As if in response to her words, Ambassador Ilara's body suddenly tensed. Her eyes snapped open, but instead of their usual luminous glow, they shone with an inner light that seemed to contain entire galaxies. The veil, Ilara's voice echoed strangely, as if coming from both everywhere and nowhere at once. The veil between worlds grows thin. They are coming. Who's coming? Zara asked, fighting to keep her voice steady. Ilara's gaze focused on Zara, and for a moment, the captain felt as if she was looking into the heart of creation itself. The architects, Ilara whispered, those who shaped the cosmos and left their tools behind. With those cryptic words, Ilara's eyes closed once more, her body relaxing back into its floating state. The medical bay erupted into a flurry of activity as Dr. Patel and her team rushed to stabilize the ambassador and analyze its new development. Zara turned to find Thalo staring at her, his skin a swirling mass of colors she couldn't begin to interpret. It seems, Captain Chen, he said slowly, that your quantum cookie conundrum has opened a door indeed. The question now is, are we prepared for what lies on the other side? As alarms began to blare throughout the station and urgent communications flooded in from both Earth and Lyceria, Zara realized that the universe had just become a much larger, more mysterious place. The simple act of sharing a human treat with an alien visitor had set in motion events that would reshape the destiny of both their species, and perhaps the entire cosmos. No, Zara replied, a mix of fear and exhilaration coursing through her veins. But we're going to find out together. With those words, Captain Zara Chen stepped into a new chapter of human and Assyrian history, one where the boundaries between science and magic, the known and the unimaginable, were about to be rewritten by the most unlikely of catalysts, a simple piece of candy and the unquenchable curiosity of two species reaching for the stars, interdimensional sweetness and cosmic consequences. The new Terra Station's main control room buzzed with frantic activity as Captain Zara Chen strode in, her face a mask of determination. Holographic displays flickered with an endless stream of data, each one more alarming than the last. "Status report," Zara barked, her eyes scanning the chaotic scene. Commander Jackson stepped forward, his usually crisp uniform looking decidedly rumpled. "It's a mess, Captain. We've got reports coming in from all over the colony. People are changing." "Changing how?" Zara asked, though a part of her already knew the answer. Jackson pulled up a series of holo images, each one more bizarre than the last. A group of schoolchildren levitating in a playground, their laughter echoing with an otherworldly resonance. A street vendor whose hands now glowed with swirling, nebula-like patterns. An elderly couple phasing in and out of visibility, their forms shimmering like heat mirages. "Sweet galactic chaos," Zara muttered, coining yet another phrase that would soon trend across the interstellar networks. "That's not the half of it," Jackson continued. "We're picking up energy signatures unlike anything we've ever seen. It's as if the very fabric of reality is stretching." Before Zara could respond, a new alert blared through the control room. A junior officer called out, her voice tinged with panic. "Captain, we've got an incoming transmission. It's from the Lycerian homeworld." Zara straightened her uniform, taking a deep breath. "Put it through." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the stern visage of the Lycerian High Counselor. His skin rippled with patterns of deep crimson and stormy grey, colors that Zara had quickly learned to associate with anger and suspicion. "Captain Chen," the High Counselor's voice was cold enough to freeze a star. "Would you care to explain why our entire civilization is suddenly experiencing a collective hallucination? One that seems to originate from your confectionery." Zara met his gaze steadily. "High Counselor, I assure you, this was not intentional. We're dealing with the same phenomena here on New Terra, but I believe we stumbled upon something far greater than a simple chemical reaction." She quickly outlined their findings, the mysterious compound in the candy, Ambassador Elara's cryptic words about the architects, and the strange occurrences across the colony. The High Counselor's expression shifted from anger to a mixture of disbelief and curiosity. "You expect me to believe that a piece of human candy has what? Opened a door to some higher plane of existence?" "Cosmic sugar rush," Zara said, the words tumbling out before she could stop them. She could almost hear the galactic meme makers salivating. To her surprise, the High Counselor's skin flickered with a pattern she recognized as amusement. "Your species has a peculiar way with words, Captain Chen, but this situation remains grave, if what you're saying is true." He was interrupted by a commotion off-screen. A moment later, a younger Lycerian burst into view, her skin pulsing with vibrant, almost painful brightness. "Father," she exclaimed, her voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "I can see them, the threads that bind the universe together." The High Counselor's composure cracked, revealing a flash of paternal concern. "Lyra, what are you talking about?" But Lyra seemed beyond normal communication. Her form began to blur at the edges, as if she was existing in multiple realities at once. "The architects, their song, it's beautiful." With a final burst of radiant energy, Lyra vanished from the screen. The High Counselor turned back to Zara, his earlier hostility replaced by naked fear. "Captain Chen, I believe we may need to combine our efforts in addressing this situation." Zara nodded sullenly. "Agreed, High Counselor. I propose an immediate joint task force. We need to pool our knowledge and resources if we're going to understand what's happening and how to control it." As they began to hash out the details of their cooperation, Dr. Patel burst into the control room, her eyes wild with excitement. "Captain, you need to see this." She pulled up a new holographic display showing a complex, multi-dimensional equation. "I've been analyzing the molecular structure of the compound in the candy, cross-referencing it with Ambassador Elara's brainwave patterns and the energy signatures we're detecting across the colony. It's a key." "A key to what?" Zara asked, though a part of her already suspected the answer. Dr. Patel's voice dropped to a reverent whisper. to the fundamental code of the universe itself, this compound, somehow, is allowing people to perceive and potentially manipulate the underlying structure of reality. The control room fell silent as the implications sank in. It was the High Counselor who broke the silence, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and trepidation. "The Quantum Confectionery Codex," he said, surprising everyone with his adoption of human phraseology. "A blueprint of creation hidden in a piece of candy." Zora couldn't help but smile at the absurdity of it all. "Well, High Counselor, it seems the universe has a sweet tooth and a sense of humor." As if in response to her words, a low, rhythmic humming began to fill the air. The very walls of the station seemed to vibrate with an otherworldly resonance. Outside the viewport, the stars began to shift and swirl in impossible patterns. "Captain," Jackson's voice was barely above a whisper. I think we're about to have visitors." The space in front of them began to ripple and distort like the surface of a pond disturbed by an unseen force. Slowly, majestically, a shape began to coalesce, a being of pure energy and unimaginable complexity. As the control room watched in stunned silence, the entity spoke, its voice resonating not just in their ears, but in the very core of their beings. "Greetings, young ones," it said, its form shimmering with colors beyond human comprehension. "We are the architects. It seems you found our recipe for universal awareness. Shall we discuss your upgrade?" Zora Chen, captain of the new Terra Station, diplomat, and now apparently the human race's representative in cosmic negotiations, straightened her back and stepped forward. With a mix of terror and exhilaration, she uttered the words that would be remembered for eons to come. "We're ready for dessert." As the control room erupted into a flurry of activity, as panicked reports flooded in from across New Terra and this area, as the very fabric of reality trembled on the brink of transformation, one thing became abundantly clear. The galaxy was about to experience the greatest sugar high in the history of existence. The quantum cookie conundrum had evolved into a full-blown cosmic cake cataclysm, and every sentient being in the universe was invited to the party. Galactic astronomy and reality ripples. The new Terra Station's grand conference room, hastily reproposed as an interdimensional negotiation chamber, crackled with an energy that defied known physics. Captain Zora Chen stood at the head of a table that seemed to stretch into infinity, her gaze steady as she faced the shimmering forms of the architects. "Welcome to the Cosmic Culinary Summit," Zora declared, her voice carrying a mix of authority and barely contained excitement. The phrase immediately went viral across every known communication network and a few unknown ones. The lead architect, a being of pure light and geometry that hurt to look at directly, pulsed with what might have been amusement. "Your species has a charming way with words, Captain Chen, but let us discuss the menu of universal recalibration." Dr. Patel, her lab coat now adorned with swirling fractals that moved of their own accord, stepped forward. "We've analyzed the Quantum Confectionery Codex," she said, gesturing to a holographic display of mind-bending complexity. "It appears to be a recipe not just for awareness, but for reality manipulation on a cosmic scale." Precisely, the architect's voice resonated through the minds of all present. "What you've stumbled upon is the base ingredient for universe crafting. In your terms, think of it as the flour in the cosmic cake." Thalo, the Lycerian emissary, his skin now a kaleidoscope of impossible colors, leaned forward. "Are you saying that all of this," he gestured to the room, "the station, the very fabric of space-time, is some sort of divine patisserie experiment?" The architect's form rippled in what could only be described as a cosmic chuckle. "In a manner of speaking, yes. The universe as you know it is but one layer in an infinite cosmic confection." "Multiversal millefeuille," Zora murmured, earning her a burst of approving lights from the architects. Commander Jackson, looking decidedly queasy, raised a hand. "So what happens now? Are we all going to turn into whatever you are?" The lead architect's form coalesced into something vaguely humanoid. "That, my dear commander, is up to you. We've provided the ingredients. How you choose to bake this particular reality cake is your decision. A hush fell over the room as the implications sank in. Humanity and the Laserians stood on the brink of an evolutionary leap beyond imagination, all thanks to a bit of interdimensional sugar. Zara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of two civilizations on her shoulders. Before we make any decisions, I think we need to understand the full menu of options. What exactly are we capable of now? The architect's form shifted, creating a display that seemed to contain entire universes. With the quantum confectionery codex, you can reshape reality at will, manipulate matter and energy, transcend spatial dimensions, even create pocket universes. Dr. Patel's eyes widened. You mean we could potentially solve all our problems? End scarcity, disease, even death. Indeed, the architect confirmed. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility and unforeseen consequences. Fellow's skin pulsed with concern. What sort of consequences? The architect's form darkened slightly. Imagine giving a child unlimited access to a kitchen. They might create wonderful things, or burn the house down. The cosmos is no different. A tense silence fell over the room. The potential for both miracles and catastrophes hung in the air like a tangible force. Suddenly, a small voice piped up from the back of the room. All eyes turned to see a young human girl, no more than 10 years old, her eyes glowing with newfound awareness. "What if," she said, her voice carrying a wisdom beyond her years, "we treated it like a potluck?" Zara blinked in surprise. A potluck. The girl nodded enthusiastically. Yeah, in a potluck, everyone brings a dish to share. What if we all used a little bit of the cosmic recipe to make something good, and then we shared it with everyone? The room erupted in murmurs, the idea taking hold like wildfire. Zara felt a smile tugging at her lips. "Out of the mouths of babes," she said softly, before turning to the architects. "What do you think? A cosmic potluck?" The architect's forms swirled with what could only be described as delight. In all our ends of existence, the lead architect said, "We've never encountered such a delightfully novel approach. You continue to surprise us, young ones." And so, in a twist that would be remembered for epochs to come, the fate of reality itself was decided not in a grand battle or through complex negotiations, but with the simple, wholesome concept of a shared meal. The next few cycles were a whirlwind of activity unlike anything the universe had ever seen. Humans and Laserians alike, guided by their newfound cosmic awareness, began to experiment with reality itself. Scientists created pocket universes to test radical new technologies. Artists sculpted nebulae into breathtaking galactic masterpieces. Healers reshaped DNA to cure diseases once thought incurable. But true to the spirit of the cosmic potluck, each breakthrough, each creation, was shared freely among all. The quantum confectionery codex became the foundation for a new era of cooperation and creativity. Zara stood at the viewport of New Terra Station, watching as a group of children, human and Laserian alike, played a game that involved facing between dimensions. The sight filled her with a profound sense of awe and responsibility. Quite a view, isn't it? The voice belonged to High Counselor Lyra, who had taken to her new role as an interdimensional diplomat with surprising enthusiasm. Zara nodded, a smile playing on her lips. "If you had told me a few cycles ago that a piece of candy would lead to all this." Lyra's skin shimmered with amusement. The universe, it seems, has a sweet tooth and a sense of humor. As they watched, a new star bloomed in the distance, the result of a joint human-Lyserian stellar engineering project. "You know," Zara said thoughtfully, "we never did figure out how that compound ended up in our candy in the first place." Lyra's form rippled with what Zara had come to recognize as a knowing smile. "Perhaps that's the next mystery for us to unravel. After all, every good recipe has its secrets." As if in response, a shimmering portal opened nearby, disgorging a group of excited scientists clutching what appeared to be a cosmic cookbook. "Captain Chen, High Counselor," One of them called out, practically bouncing with excitement, "You won't believe what we've just discovered about the quantum properties of chocolate." Zara and Lyra exchanged a glance, both barely containing their laughter. The cosmic potluck, it seemed, was just getting started. And if the universe truly was a grand confectionery experiment, then humanity and the Lozerians were determined to make it the sweetest one possible. As they turned to follow the scientists, ready to dive into the next layer of cosmic cuisine, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never look at dessert the same way again. Quantum Quitch and existential entrees. The Galactic Gourmet Gala, hosted aboard the newly christened starship Spatula Nebula, was in full swing. Captain Zara Chen, now sporting a chef's hat atop her regulation uniform, surveyed the scene with a mixture of pride and bemusement. The ship's main hall had been transformed into a cosmic kitchen unlike any other in the known universe. Welcome, sentient beings of all dimensions, to the first-ever multiversal MasterChef. Zora's voice boomed across the gathering, eliciting cheers from humans, Lozerians, and a dozen other species that defied easy categorization. At various cooking stations, contestants wielded utensils that looked more like scientific instruments than kitchen tools. Holographic recipes floated in the air, their instructions shifting and changing based on the quantum fluctuations of the ingredients. Today's challenge, Zara continued, her eyes twinkling with mischief, is to create a dish that not only tantalizes the taste buds, but also bends the very fabric of reality. We call it Schrödinger's snack. The crowd erupted in laughter and excited chatter. In the few cycles since the discovery of the Quantum Confectionery Codex, culinary arts had become inexorably intertwined with cutting-edge physics. Cooking shows were now among the most watched programs across the galaxy, with viewers tuning in to see what impossible delicacies would be conjured next. At one station, a team of human and Assyrian chefs worked in perfect harmony, their movements synchronized as if they shared a single mind. They were preparing what they called probability pasta, noodles that existed in multiple states simultaneously until observed and consumed. Nearby, a being composed entirely of sentient gas was carefully layering what appeared to be slices of space-time itself, creating a black hole baklava that promised to compress flavor into an infinitely dense point. Dr. Petal, who had traded her lab coat for a sous chef's uniform, approached Zara with a concerned look. "Captain, we may have a situation developing in Sector 3. Zara's brow furrowed. What kind of situation? "It seems one of the contestants has created a dish that's, well, achieving sentience." They hurried over to Sector 3, where a crowd had gathered around a shimmering, pulsating mass that vaguely resembled a soufflé. As they watched, the dish began to form pseudopods, reaching out to interact with its environment. "Behold," exclaimed the chef, "a multi-limbed being from a gas giant in the Andromeda Galaxy. I call it cognizant casserole, a dish that not only nourishes the body but evolves to meet the diner's nutritional and emotional needs." Zora blinked, momentarily at a loss for words. That's certainly innovative, but is it safe? As if in response, the cognizant casserole formed a mouth-like opening and spoke, its voice a melodious hum. "Fear not, carbon-based life forms. I come in peace, and with excellent nutritional value." A ripple of astonished murmurs swept through the crowd. Zara exchanged a glance with Dr. Patel, both of them fighting to keep their composure. "Well," Zara said finally, "I suppose that takes compliments to the chef to a whole new level." As the competition continued, each dish seemed to outdo the last in terms of impossibility and innovation. There was Quantum Quitch, a pie that allowed diners to taste every possible flavor combination simultaneously. Timeless Tiramisu promised to let consumers experience their past, present, and future in a single bite. But it was the final entry that truly stole the show. A team of young chefs, 2 humans, a Lozerian, and a being of pure energy, unveiled their creation with a flourish. "We present to you," they announced proudly, "the Universal Umami Unifier." What appeared to be a simple bowl of soup sat before them, but as Zara leaned in for a closer look, she gasped. Reflected in the broth's surface was not her own face, but scenes from across the cosmos. Stars being born, civilizations rising and falling, the grand dance of galaxies. "This dish," explained one of the young chefs, her eyes shining with excitement, "doesn't just feed the body or the mind. It nourishes the very soul of the universe itself. With each spoonful, the diner contributes to the harmonious expansion of reality." Zara took a cautious sip, and her world exploded. Flavors beyond description danced on her tongue, while visions of unimaginable beauty and complexity flooded her mind. For a moment, she felt connected to every living being in existence, their joys and sorrows, hopes and fears, all part of a grand cosmic symphony. As she came back to herself, Zara realized the entire gathering had fallen silent, every eye fixed on her in anticipation. "Well," she said, her voice thick with emotion, "I think we may have found more than just the winner of our competition. This, my friends, could be the key to universal peace and understanding." The galactic gourmet gala erupted in cheers, the sound rippling across dimensions. As beings from across the cosmos celebrated together, united by the simple joy of breaking bread, or various approximations thereof, Zara couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. What had started as a simple diplomatic meeting had evolved into a revolution of reality itself, all centered around the universal language of food. The Quantum Confectionery Codex had opened doors they never knew existed, leading to a future where the boundaries between science, art, and cuisine had blurred into irrelevance. As the celebration continued, new dishes being created and shared with joyous abandon, a shimmering portal opened near Zara. The familiar form of an architect stepped through, its presence immediately drawing attention. "Congratulations, young ones," the architect's voice resonated through the minds of all present. "You have taken our recipe and created something truly magnificent. The cosmic potluck has exceeded our wildest expectations." Zara grinned, raising a glass of what appeared to be liquid starlight. "Care to join us for dessert? I hear the Big Bang Baked Alaska is to die for, possibly literally, so we'll need to be careful with the portions." The architect's form rippled with what could only be described as cosmic laughter. "We would be honored. After all, every good meal needs a little bit of mystery for seasoning." As humans, Lizarians, and beings beyond imagination mingled and dined together, sharing impossible dishes and forging connections that transcended species and dimensions, one thing became abundantly clear. The universe's greatest adventure was just beginning, and it would be delicious. The Galactic Gourmet Gala had set the stage for a new era of cosmic cuisine and interdimensional diplomacy. And at the heart of it all was the simple, profound truth that had started this journey. Sometimes the sweetest path to understanding was through the stomach. As the festivities continued, Zara couldn't help but wonder what new flavors of reality they would discover next. Whatever came, she was certain of one thing: the cosmic kitchen was open, and the possibilities were endless. Flavor flux and the taste of time. The chronological cook-off, streamed live across multiple dimensions, had become the most watched event in the history of sentient entertainment. Captain Zara Chen, now sporting a shimmering apron that seemed to exist in multiple timelines simultaneously, stood at the center of a vast arena that defied conventional physics. "Welcome, beings of all space-time coordinates, to the ultimate gastronomic challenge." Zora's voice echoed through epochs. "Today, we're not just pushing the boundaries of cuisine, we're rewriting the cookbook of creation itself." The arena was divided into sections representing different eras of cosmic history. Contestants from various species and realities readied themselves at stations that looked more like time machines than kitchens. "Our challenge today," Zara continued, her eyes gleaming with barely contained excitement, "is to create a dish that not only transcends space but time itself. We call it the temporal tasting menu." The crowd, a mix of physical beings and energy constructs, erupted in a cheer that rippled through the fabric of spacetime. At the Big Bang Bistro station, a team of quantum physicists turned chefs were attempting to recreate the first flavors of the universe. Their ingredients, pure energy and primordial particles, swirled in a containment field that hummed with the echo of creation. Nearby, at Evolution's eatery, a group of bioengineers was splicing genes from across the timeline of life, creating hybrid ingredients that had never existed and might never exist again. Dr. Patel, now the head judge of the chronological cook-off, approached Zara with a holographic clipboard. "Captain, you won't believe the entries we're seeing. There's a team from the far future using ingredients that haven't been invented yet." Zara grinned. "Well, as long as they're not creating any paradoxes, I say let them cook." As the competition heated up, the dishes became increasingly mind-bending. There was Primordial Soup 2.0, a broth that allowed drinkers to taste the entire evolutionary history of their species in a single sip. Jurassic Jelly, a wobbling creation that brought the flavors of long-extinct ecosystems back to life. But it was the entropy entree that really caught Zora's attention. Created by a team of thermodynamic specialists, it was a dish that seemed to age in reverse as you ate it, each bite taking you further back in time. "Fascinating," Zora murmured, taking a cautious taste. She felt years slipping away, memories of her childhood bubbling to the surface with each mouthful. But how does it end? The chef, a being of pure mathematics, buzzed excitedly. "That's the beauty of it, Captain. The last bite always tastes like pure potential, the flavor of the universe before it even existed." As the competition reached its climax, a hush fell over the arena. The final team, a collaboration between humans, Lizarians, and a race of time-traveling gourmands, unveiled their creation with a flourish that bent light itself. "Behold," they announced, their voices harmonizing across multiple timelines, the Mobius meal. What appeared before the judges defied easy description. It was a dish that looped back on itself, each bite leading into the next in an endless cycle of flavor. As Zara and the other judges tentatively sampled it, they found themselves experiencing not just taste, but the very flow of time itself. "Incredible," Dr. Patel gasped, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's as if we're tasting the circular nature of time and space." Zara nodded, still reeling from the experience. "It's more than that. This dish, it's showing us how everything is connected. Past, present, future, all cuisines and cultures across the cosmos. It's all one grand, delicious cycle." As the implications of the Mobius meal sank in, a new wave of understanding swept through the gathered beings. Rivalries and conflicts that had seemed so important moments ago now felt trivial in the face of this culinary revelation. Suddenly, a shimmering portal opened above the arena, and the familiar forms of the architects appeared. But this time, they weren't alone. Beings of unimaginable age and power, representing cosmic forces beyond comprehension, floated alongside them. "Congratulations, young ones," the lead architect's voice resonated through reality itself. "Your chronological cook-off has caught the attention of the elder entities. They wish to sample your creations." A ripple of awe and trepidation swept through the crowd. These were beings that shaped galaxies and wrote the laws of physics, and they wanted to try the food. Zara, feeling the weight of the moment, stepped forward. "We would be honored to share our humble creations with such esteemed diners. Although I'm not entirely sure we have utensils in your size range." A sound like the laughter of stars filled the air. One of the elder entities, a being that seemed to be made of living constellations, spoke in a voice that bypassed the ears and went straight to the soul. "Size eyes but a CONS to UCT, little one. We are here not just to tasty, but to learn. Your species is has taken the basic ingredients of RELATI and created something new, something even we, in our eons, had not imagined." And so began the most surreal dinner party in the history of existence. Elder entities sampling time-bending soufflés, architects critiquing the texture of quantum quiches, and beings from across the cosmos sharing meals that transcended the very notion of physicality. As the event wound down, Zara found herself standing next to one of the elder entities, a being that seemed to be composed of pure cosmic law. "So," Zara said, trying to keep her voice steady, "what did you think of our little cook-off?" The entity's form shimmered, stars being born and dying in its depths. "Yultiationens heavy when US. They'd and he verfahren and until forces of the universe can be, or imagine. Perhaps it is time for US to see bonus idea, a new recipe for reality HSAL. Zara's eyes widened. "Are you saying?" "Indeed, little one. The cosmic KTCHN is DEFONUPGRAHE, and we would be AOLNOREHE if you and your fellow the CATFS would assist us in TISTLRAND REINHINE." As the implications of this cosmic collaboration sank in, Zara couldn't help but laugh. What had started with a simple piece of candy had led to this, a partnership between the youngest and oldest forces in the universe, all in the name of culinary creativity. The chronological cook-off had done more than just push the boundaries of cuisine. It had opened the door to a new era of cosmic cooperation, where the very ingredients of reality were up for reinterpretation. As beings from across time and space mingled, sharing impossible dishes and forging connections that transcended comprehension, Zara raised a glass of what appeared to be liquid time itself. "To the future," she toasted, her voice carrying across dimensions. "May it be delicious, surprising, and cooked to perfection." The universe, it seemed, had developed quite the appetite for adventure, and the cosmic feast was just beginning.